Welcome to the Every Third Saturday podcast. We're here with me and Eric, and our guest today is Jake Taylor. Jake is someone who is a part of the family around here. He's a contributor to the Warriors Return program, and just an overall kind of cool guy. So Jake, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'd love to. Appreciate the cool guy comment.
Right.
I don't get that a lot in life, but yeah. So my name is Jake Taylor. Like I said, I've been working with the Warriors Return and Warriors Path now for I think we're going on like 5 years, aren't we? Already?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. From the old building to the new building is pretty sweet. So yeah, I just my role with the program is doing some routine, building stuff, morning routine, evening routines, kind of setting up the day, the bookends of the day, just for, that kind of setting yourself up for success, even though maybe sometimes it doesn't go that way. But, and then just working through some, anchoring things with faith and some other, breath work and stuff like that to try to, if the, day doesn't go as planned, how do we still get through it? So,
okay. I need to take that because you did not do anything with cohort 3, which was my cohort, but, I need some of that. I definitely need some of that. Tom, you did not say we don't know what episode this is. So if this episode is real cattywampus, I blame you.
That's a bad omen.
It is.
We're off. Let the audience know that we have no idea what number this episode is.
And that we don't care.
And it doesn't matter.
But no, the bookending thing, we should definitely get to that. And I'll have to look at the course manual and see when you're coming in to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I tell every cohort, my background was athletics. I was a hockey player, for the first 28 years of my life. And so when I got done playing, for me, that was where kind of the rubber hit the road, and some of my demons, if you want to call them, really, bared their ugly head.
Yeah.
And I sat in that misery for like 4 or 5 years after I got done playing. And then finally, through the encouragement of my wife, thank God for her, she kind of said, hey, you got to start figuring this out. This is not working for any of us.
Yeah.
So that's when I started on my journey of trying to I started off pretty worldly in my pursuit with, different kinds of self-help stuff and acupuncture and hypnotherapy, and I was really just kind of searching. I didn't had any real direction, but it was like, as long as the direction is anywhere except for here, I think that's good. Which then eventually led me to exploring my faith and getting really deep into kind of that, that anchoring rock of like, hey, this is something I can build my life on.
Yeah.
These principles are never changing and are pretty solid. And, which is pretty cool, because then all the other stuff that I was learning seemed to make more sense too, where like, hey, if we set our days up, with some routine and we actually have a plan of attack and go about it, then I started to build that routine and that kind of discipline that I had when I was playing hockey.
Yeah.
That I didn't have when it was done, because I didn't really realize that other people were kind of setting that up for me.
Right.
Like, hey, where'd all the support go?
Right. And that's an interesting parallel. So what Tom and I talk about frequently is when you leave the military, you lose 2 things right away. You lose that tribe that you've had for so long, and then you lose that purpose.
Yeah.
Right. So it sounds almost exactly the same, right? You lost both of those things when you ended up being done with hockey.
Totally. And that's what I always tell the cohorts is, like I said kind of earlier, but I love to start off with that understanding of like, I wasn't in the military. Mm-hmm. So experience was different, coming through athletics as opposed to coming through the military. But the cool thing is that I do believe that we're all here together for a reason. Mm-hmm. And the similarities of things that I struggled with seem to be in line with some of the stuff that guys struggle with when they come out of the military, with identity and that loss of team and that structure and all that type of stuff. So
for sure.
So that's been really cool with going through with the cohorts, is understanding like, hey, we all came from different spots we're here now for a reason, and we can take all of those different paths and different ways we got here and learn from each other, you know, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I always tell people that too. I mean, I learned it from Tom. We're all people first, right? Doesn't, I mean, a shared experience is a shared experience, right? Just because, you know, my paper cut is the worst pain I've ever felt doesn't mean that you can't relate to a tremendous amount of pain.
Totally.
So,
yeah. Yeah. And even coaching high school hockey, you know, it's like if some of the stuff that those kids are going through in my brain, I'm like, it doesn't seem like a huge problem.
You broke up with your girlfriend? Oh no.
Yeah. but for them, it's a huge problem.
Right. That's right.
You know,
end of the world.
Yeah. So it's their biggest problem is their biggest problem. And I think that's what's been cool kind of through this journey. And obviously you know, with you guys here at ETS, it's been a huge part of that, of just having that empathy of just because, you know, my perspective is through the lens of my experience. That doesn't mean that, you know, the high school kid breaking up with his girlfriend isn't a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, for him it is.
Right.
So yeah, so it's been cool to kind of explore that and get out of my own way of like, you know, man, my life's been so rough and blah, blah, blah. And just kind of get into like, you know, I think God kind of puts us on a journey for a reason. And if we learn and continue to grow, we can use all of that experience for good, you know? So
you grew up in Minnesota?
Yep. Yeah. I grew up just south of here in Rochester.
Okay.
Which, good place to grow up. I got really fortunate that just a group of guys that I wound up playing hockey with throughout my youth hockey and kind of high school years were just an amazing group of guys. We had tons of success on the ice. We were super close off the ice. That's where, for me, I really started to value how important team and doing life with other people. Because it didn't matter what was going on at school or home or whatever. It's like you get to the rink with those guys with a common mission, and it was like, this is pretty sweet. Yeah. You know, so you know, did my youth and high school down in Rochester. I wound up leaving home my senior year of high school and played junior hockey in Green Bay. Played out there for 2 years, and then played at the University of Minnesota for 1 year. That was kind of a pivotal time in my life where, because I was good at a sport, there wasn't really a lot of guardrails on my life. And I got arrested when I was playing there and got into a bunch of trouble. I was drinking a ton. And the odd thing about the position and the role I played on the team, it was like, I was kind of that, like, you know, tough guy, stay-at-home defenseman. So it almost made like that lifestyle kind of accepted, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Which is bad, which is really bad. It's like, oh man, if there's no rules, I guess there's no rules.
Rules, right.
You know, get arrested, cops just bring you home, you know, try not to do that again.
Right.
When really it was like, needed some tough love and somebody to pull me aside and say, hey man, this is gonna end bad.
Sure.
So I wound up signing my first professional contract after my freshman year of college. And, you know, I had to use a bunch of my signing bonus just to pay for all the trouble that I had gotten in, which isn't the way you draw it up when you're a kid. But yeah, so then I spent 7 years playing in the American Hockey League. I was with the New York Rangers for 4 years in their farm system in Hartford, and then 3 years with the Edmonton Oilers in their AHL program. So luckily for me, like I said, I did meet my wife in college, which that was the highlight of that, just because she, even before I had found my faith or, you know, really kind of had that interaction with Jesus and really kind of changed things for me, she at least kept me out of trouble, a lot of trouble, big trouble.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. So
how did it change when you were in high school? Everyone's got pretty much a common goal. I mean, people are looking at college, people are looking at juniors, but pretty much a common goal of saying we want to win a championship, a state title, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
then moving to, say, the AHL where everyone's trying to get their shot. I can only imagine it's not quite as tight a team up in the pros as it was in high school.
Yeah.
Was that a hard transition to make, to figure out like, wow, that my teammate doesn't necessarily have my best interests at heart all the time?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think for me, so I spent all those years through youth hockey in high school with the same team. So, whatever that wound up being, like 10, 12 years with the same group. And then from my senior year of high school till my first year of pro hockey, it was only a 4-year span. So I was 2 years a junior, 1 year of college, already into pro hockey. And it was like this, once it got to Green Bay and started to realize that I was pretty good at the sport, it was just like this mindset of like, how do we get to the NHL and how do we get there as quick as possible? And so some of that team element and some of that, like, hey, let's stay here. Let's build something. Let's win some championships.
Sure.
Really, even the pursuit of that was selfish sometimes, because it's like, if I'm on a winning team,
right,
that looks good for me,
right,
to advance my career,
right,
instead of like, hey, let's go do something as a group that we can all be super proud of. So I still think there was elements of that. Like, obviously when you were on that team with that specific group of guys, there was still that camaraderie and that closeness, but that element of like, hey, my D partner is my buddy, but I also want to be better than him,
Right.
And when the Rangers or the Oilers call down here, I'd rather it be me than him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that it definitely did kind of make it more of a job and less of a like, hey, this is all about the team and all about winning.
Right.
So, and I think you see that, like you saw that with Florida last year, like they got a bunch of guys taking less money on their contracts to stay there.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you have to look too far to realize why they're such a good team, because the guys are committed and willing to sacrifice some personal stuff for, hey, I want to stay here and win.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and how was it playing with players now from around the world, potentially, like different languages, different styles, different cultures? How was that?
Yeah, I mean, it was wild. The first time you get on a team with a guy that can't even speak English, and you're supposed to be his teammate with him. And that's what I guess is cool about the sport, is the language was the game.
Sure.
That was the same, the way it was played. And so even though you couldn't communicate with each other, you still knew, like, just by feel and, by just doing it for so long, like, he's supposed to be there and I'm supposed to be here. And as long as we just do our jobs, it's going to work, But yeah, seeing the different cultures was wild. Like Finnish guys are, I mean, really, really awesome. Like, they're kind of just like tough. When they drink, they drink. When they whatever they're doing it at like max effort all the time. So it's kind of resonated with some guys from different places. Well, and then there were some guys, just culturally kind of was pretty tough. But yeah, like I said, that's what's cool about sports or something like that. Of like, we don't necessarily have to get along, but we do have to respect each other, and we're teammates, and we gotta make sure that we're giving our all to help each other win.
Sure.
So,
and to a large extent, I think hockey's unique that way. I mean, baseball has some of that with some Japanese players, some Latino players, but hockey, all these players not only coming from Canada, but coming from Europe and Russia. It's got to be a unique experience for a kid from Rochester to be like, oh yeah, I don't exactly know what to make of this. Not that you didn't have diversity in Rochester. It's just it seems like it would be a different feel.
For sure. And even the feeling of, even guys from Canada, and when I realized for the first time that, like, life is different in other places, it's not like it is in our country where it's like, this is all, and and then guys come in from outside the country and they start speaking about the way we live, maybe, or our culture, a little bit negative, and you're kind of like, well, you're in the United States. What are you talking about? Like, you gotta conform here, man. Like, So
when in Rome,
yeah. So it's kind of like a little bit of like a culture shock in a way of like, oh man, there's people from other places that have different perspectives on life than we do, but it's fun to kind of jab back and forth with guys that I'm still close with that are, live in Canada or whatever. It's, there's just with the climate of our culture, there's some easy jabs back and forth.
Sure. So you finished playing hockey. I mean, I'm sure you still skate, right? But
yeah.
But you finished playing pro hockey. Where do you go next?
Yeah, so that's where life got really pretty challenging for me for a while. I didn't realize it was gonna be like that, but like I had mentioned, like drinking was a huge part of our culture in playing hockey. And then all of a sudden when hockey's gone, it's like, oh, now I think I just drink too much, and that's not good.
Right.
Right. And there was no reason to get up in the morning and work out and do something productive. And so I really just found myself drifting through life. I was just, kind of doing okay at whatever it was I was doing, but I wasn't really applying myself. Like I said, even at home, I had 2 small kids. I just was pretty distant, it just, the way I felt about myself personally, it just kind of trickled into just all my interactions with my wife, with my kids, I was definitely that guy that was, I'm a pro hockey player. Like, what does this boss of mine know? Like, I know more, he's been working in the professional world for 40 years. I'm working there 40 minutes and, and I'm trying to make these excuses of like why this isn't working for me when really it was 100% me.
Right.
So that 4 or 5 years was just kind of was like a snowball of like things just kind of kept getting worse and worse and worse, and excuses kept getting bigger and more frequent until, like I said, finally had that interaction with my wife where she was like, you're like a shell of the person that I know. Like, it's time to, and she was so gracious about it too. It wasn't like, threaten to leave me or do something like that. It was just like, you need to go like figure it out, not do this or do that, or I got the answers. It's like, go and just take one step in the right direction tomorrow and then take another one and keep going.
Right.
Which I can't thank her enough for that. 'Cause I think if she would have pushed something on me at that point, it probably would have went badly.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Instead of just like, hey, I support you and I love you, but you gotta start doing something different.
Yeah. Me and Eric have talked about the fact that the military is awful at helping service members exit the service.
Yeah.
Really, you sit through a week of classes and then you're supposed to be okay. And it's almost more pronounced with an athlete because you've been doing it since you were a little kid. Like, it literally is your whole life.
Yeah.
And, the military, at least you have up to the age of enlistment where you learn some stuff. Not enough, but you learn some. And then I've always been kind of baffled as how pro athletes specifically don't get any kind of guidance or support in saying, now you're done, this is how it might look.
Yeah.
You see some athletes that made $50 million and they're broke.
Yeah.
They had no idea what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
And that might be an extreme, but for anyone that's been doing anything any length of time to have it taken away pretty quickly, in the grand scheme of things, it's got to be difficult. And so, you ever have any thoughts on like, would it even be possible for athletes to be guided down a path of like an off ramp from playing?
Yeah. And we can get into the strap stuff too, because that's kind of the big purpose of it. But, I think, like you said, very similar to the military. And if you ask a guy that's in it, it's one of those pursuits that you have to be all in when you're doing it, and the second that you start to, kind of veer off the track and, hey, instead of being like 100% focused on hockey, I'm going to be 80% focused on that and 20% focused on like life after or whatever. And all of a sudden you're not performing at the top of your abilities and things start going bad in that. But to your point, Tom, I think you're spot on. I say it all the time to people. I feel so blessed to be able to have got to play a sport till I was almost 30. But it is not a good track to set you up for the rest of your life.
Right.
It's just not. There's all these guardrails and all of these things, and you're pretty much showing up to work to do one very, very specific thing, and everything else in your life is taken care of for you.
Sure.
And that one very specific thing doesn't transfer well to anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
So
shout out to all the infantry servicemen out there.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's so to answer your question, it's a little bit of a hard thing because you have to be all in on it when you're doing it. And then knowing that there is going to be this real clunky exit out of it. It would be awesome to see more programs. And I think that's kind of what we're excited about with our strap business is looking at like, okay, if we know that when a guy makes that decision to retire, and that, like we talked about, I think there's a lot of similarities in that part of the journey with military and athletes. And I think they pair really well together.
Yeah.
How can we walk them through a program to, get them to a place where they at least feel like they have a skill in something, and that's really what I'm excited about when we got talking with you guys of like, we have the warrior's path. How can we, if there's something like that, and then if somebody wants to continue and go deeper or farther, maybe there's a way that we kind of figure that out,
Sure.
So, because there's so many people doing awesome stuff. So it's really, I think the way that I look at all this stuff is I firmly don't believe that anybody has all the answers, but if we work together and we use our journeys and we use our story, the power is in the community.
Sure.
Yes. The power is in being around like-minded people that have similar experiences, but mostly just want the same thing. They want to have a life with fulfillment and, a path that makes sense to them without the chaos and whatever. That's what I'm really excited about, is working together, building the community, and continue one man at a time. My mentor, Bill Butters, always says it's multiplication by addition. It's just one interaction at a time, but the ripple effect of that over the course of a lot of years and a lot of interactions, it's like, man, now all of a sudden we're, as a group, as a community, we're starting to have a lot of impact,
Right. We see it with Warriors Return. It's only 8 at a time. Like this cohort is 8 people.
Yeah.
But over time, it's become almost 150 graduates, and it's almost like compound interest.
Yeah.
It just continues to build on itself and become a much healthier version of just standing there by yourself trying to figure it out.
Yeah. And when you walk in this building, I mean, you can just feel it. The community that you guys have built here is just so incredible. I don't think I've ever walked in the door and there's not at least a couple people that have come through the program that are sitting down there, connecting with each other. Yeah. Grabbed coffee. It's just like this place is just filled with the community, which is so cool, Yeah. So that's really what I'm super excited about, just in my own life and kind of all the ventures that I spend my time in, is like, how do we connect and kind of have those standards and that accountability that we were used to in our old lives,
right,
to push the ball forward, and become the people that we're meant to become, not be the people stuck in our past and, whatever that is. So,
yeah, I don't know about Eric necessarily, but we both talked to the new group of Warriors Return
yep,
individuals today. The group started yesterday, and
yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what day it is.
I don't either.
It's the weird week with the Monday thing,
right?
Yeah,
but we were just. I know I was telling them that, listen, it's not a journey you can take on your own.
yeah,
The simple weight of it will crush you.
yeah,
And I, for one, have been there. Almost committed suicide over it, and really, it's so necessary to have community
yeah,
around you, even just to bounce things off of. And really, sometimes you think you're nuts, and
yeah,
to be able to reach out to someone else and just say, I was thinking about this, and they might say you're nuts, or they might say, yeah, I've thought about that too.
yeah,
And here's what I kind of come up with, and there's a lot of beauty in that, and it's just so much stronger and so much more effective than standing there by yourself.
yeah.
And so,
Especially too, like we talked about, like when you're used to being on a team, and then all of a sudden that's over, and for whatever reason we feel like maybe it's a guy thing, or maybe it's just coming out of those type of worlds. But then you go into this like strangely like obsessed with being like isolated.
Yeah.
And I know for me in my journey, it was just like, I was just in so much shame and all that. I didn't, like I was working a job at the time that, felt like was below me or something, So it's like, I would see somebody I knew and I was like, found myself hiding.
Sure.
Didn't even want to interact or didn't want to see them. So maybe that's part of it too, is like when you have that exit from the military or from athletics, and all of a sudden you're like, you're forced to deal with all the stuff that you maybe just had been pushing aside for a lot of years. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one, but it's so weird how we're used to being in community and that being a huge part of our identity, to like just going straight to like, where can I be alone?
Yeah.
And sit in my own crap by myself.
And that's a really interesting thought process, because that's kind of where I landed. Exit the Marine Corps as a staff sergeant, as a platoon sergeant, responsible for anywhere from 40 to 80 guys, right? And now, my purpose is their welfare, making sure the training plan gets executed, their, health, wellness, all that. And then I go, and now I'm stocking shelves, right? Like, loved working at Shields, great place.
Yeah.
But like it didn't sit right with me. I don't think. I think that's part of what my issue was like, now my purpose is so menial. Like it doesn't, that really didn't sit well at all. And I was going somewhere with this, man, my train is so off the tracks. But yeah, I think you're spot on with something there. Like you go from being a professional athlete, or you go from somebody with this, like your purpose is defending the Constitution of the United States, right? Yeah. And now going back to having no transferable skill, like how do you take something that you were really good at and something that you were like ingrained to do, and if there's no direct access to that on the outside, I mean, I think it's no wonder we end up isolated, because we're just sitting there swimming in what we were and what we could be. But where's the drive to get back there when you're out, get back to making a difference, or get back to being somebody that's important about something.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Well, it just came to me as you were saying that too. Like the thought of like, when we're little boys playing, like we don't play like accountant.
No,
you're playing war and you're playing sports
cops and robbers, and
so then when you wind up doing that as an adult and kind of living out that that boyhood dream, it makes other things seem maybe even lesser than they really are.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I think what has made a ton of sense for me now that it's like on just in a way healthier spot, on a way healthier path, is everything has a purpose, and wherever God puts you, I think it's more about like, am I glorifying him with everything I got, with right where he's got me?
Right.
And having some contentment of like, I don't need to go and do whatever I think is perceived to be cool or whatever. It's like, he has me here for a reason,
Yep.
So I better do my best.
And that's, we've got a Bible study on Monday mornings, and I struggle with that frequently. It's, how old am I? 34. At 34 years old.
You act or how old?
Well, yes, I agree. That's a separate conversation. But to try to figure out, like, how can I glorify God personally?
Yeah.
Doing what I do. Like, I don't beat the streets preaching the gospel. I don't, like, how can I be evangelical? And there's a couple older gentlemen, Rick would probably be pissed if he knew I was calling him old, but,
or a gentleman,
or a gentleman. He was a Marine too. But I struggle with that because I just feel like I'm so young and like I'm a very let's get to the finish line kind of guy.
Yeah.
And him and Steve both are like, that ain't how it works, bucko. Like, just strap in. It's a lifelong process. And they both tell me too, like, you are doing what the Lord wants you to do right here at ETS, even though you don't see it. Like, everybody else does. And sorry you don't, but you're doing it. So it's, certainly being a younger guy too, trying to figure it all out. It's crippling sometimes.
And look at what the world, you can't get away from what the world is calling us to do as men, make more money, do this, do that. Like, just every commercial's, drinking beer and good looking women. And it's all these distractions especially for us as guys. I think it's like, how do we continually just plant these little seeds and get these guys off course,
Right.
Because that's what's so beautiful, I think, about faith is it's that solidness, the consistency. It never changes, and it will never let you down. Oh. Jesus will always be there to comfort you and get you, back to the team thing. To think about, having a teammate like Jesus, like there's nothing that you could do where he's going to be like, I'm going to be around you.
Right.
Right. And I think, I know for myself, like, I've done things in my life to people that they have definitely said that about me. Like, I don't want to be around that guy.
Yeah.
So to have that relationship with Jesus, to know that, he's going to be there regardless of, like, if I feel good or bad about myself, he feels the same way about me all the time, and it's one decision away every single day.
Yeah.
It's either going to be a decision for the world or a decision to glorify God. And if you make that decision to the world, as long as the next decision is back to getting connected with him, there's a path forward instead of letting that one bad choice turn into a bad day, to a bad week. Right. All of a sudden you're like, yikes.
Yeah.
How'd I get here?
Right.
And
you never see yourself getting there either. Yeah. It's just, you kind of doze off on the road, right? And you end up in Topeka, Kansas when you're trying to get to, San Diego.
Totally. Yeah.
And you never see a depiction of Jesus pulling his Maserati into his McMansion.
No.
Yeah. Nope.
It's not a thing.
No.
So where we got the notion that, that's what we should be shooting for is kind of silly. I still, like, man, I'll see a nice car. I'm a Mustang freak.
Yep.
I'll see a pretty souped up Mustang and say, I want that.
Yeah.
I want it.
Totally.
How can I get it? And then, like, no, Tom.
Short of stealing one time, I don't know.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's like, I got to be happy with my 2015 Ford Focus. It was given to me.
Yeah.
And, I didn't even buy the thing, and it's been totally reliable. Never broke down.
Yeah.
And it gets me where I'm supposed to be. And we talked about, in the group this morning, we talked about the greatness, and we talked about greatness as a concept and what society defines greatness as. And I use, Justin Jefferson as an example of, he's great at catching footballs.
Yeah.
He's great at running really fast, and he's a great football player, and that's a form of greatness, but that's his form of greatness.
Yeah.
And then he gets to choose what he does with that. And he looks like a good kid. He looks like maybe one that's going to do something good with it.
For sure.
But the point is that we all have greatness in us.
Yeah.
And it's whether we're willing to really do the hard work to tap into it or not.
Yeah.
Tell a story about a guy I knew. I haven't talked to him in a while, but he was in a homeless shelter downtown. He was a foster kid, and he was up on the 4th floor, and he had made the decision that day that he'd had enough. He was 17. He was going to go up on the roof and jump off. And down on the street, as he's looking out the window from the 4th floor, a school bus stopped at the stop sign in front of the building. And in the back seat, a little girl peeked out the window, looked right up at him in his eyes, and waved and smiled.
Oh my gosh.
And he decided, I'm going to stick around.
Yeah.
And he has helped thousands of people get off the street over the last 20 years. And, that little girl has no idea of what a great thing she did and how many lives she affected.
Man.
And so sometimes it's a very, we want the grandiose thing to happen, and we want to be recognized, and we want to be seen. But really, it's having the courage to look up at someone and smile and wave.
Yeah.
That can be that great act. And,
That's so good.
And it's really, we all have that opportunity in us. The opportunities come up all the time.
Yeah.
I, for one, I'm terrible, because I started to learn how to recognize them, but I still wouldn't seize them. And I'm still not perfect at it. We had a guy yesterday. He was down in our building, in our place, crying. And I knew he was there. We had helped him with something quite expensive about a year ago. And now he was here again, kind of looking for help again. And my thought was like, oh, here we go, wanting money. And I went down to get a bottle of water. I walked past him, saw that he was crying, kept walking. And I'm going upstairs back to my office, and I stopped. And I know it's God tapping me on the shoulder saying, hey, man, what are you here for? If it's not that.
Yeah.
If it's not that guy. So I went over and talked to him, and I said, what's going on? He said, I got jumped by my own roommate and his buddies, and they took everything, and I'm afraid to even go back. I have nowhere to sleep. And it was so easy just to get him a hotel room for a few nights, and he had lost his phone, so we got him a phone. And I just saw him about 10 minutes before you got here, Jake. He came in. I asked him to come back, just come back and hang out, and he came back, and he looked totally different. He looked like he had life back in his eyes, and he was going to figure things out and get some new clothes and replace the stuff he had lost. And I wouldn't call that a great act. I would call that just our work and what we do.
Yeah.
But there's greatness in it.
For sure.
And I don't know what that veteran is going to go on and do. He might stop the next school shooting.
Yeah.
You just don't know
Yeah.
what piece of the puzzle you are.
Yeah.
And what piece of the puzzle that next person is. And so I was beating myself up last night. Like, man, I walked right past the guy that's sitting there in tears. I'm supposed to be running a community-oriented organization here. And then I thought, well, at least you didn't keep going. At least you stopped and went and addressed it. But it's a dichotomy of, like, it could be a great thing. It could be just what you're supposed to do, or it could be a a source of guilt and shame that I can carry. Like, what a piece of shit I am.
Yeah.
You know, what a hypocrite I am. And so it's really, we all have to be open to the opportunities that get presented to us.
Yeah.
And say, this is my moment.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you have many moments of greatness in your life, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe you only get one, and that's awesome. But it's it's not tricky. It's really simple. We like to make it tricky.
Yeah.
I mean, the enemy likes to make it tricky. But I think people like you're stepping out with Strapped.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about what that feels like. You don't know how people are going to perceive you.
Yeah.
You don't know what the reaction is going to be. Am I going to fall on my face here? And so I don't know. How's that been going for you?
It's been going great. It is funny that you brought that up though, because, you know, we kind of did this soft launch. It'll be 3 weeks on Friday ago. And already in that 3 weeks, like some pretty heavy persecution just coming, not necessarily through the strap stuff, but just like, you know, in other areas of my life. And it was just like, wow, that's pretty crazy, man. Like we're only 3 weeks into kind of being bold in this thing. And
Yeah.
next thing you know, it's just like, here come the arrows, you know?
That's right.
But the beautiful thing about what you said, Tom, is it's like, that is the spiritual warfare that we're in. Like the devil wants our souls, you know, almost as bad as God does. Mm-hmm. So, you know, to kind of be able to have some perspective on that and give ourselves grace, but also other people too, like that might not even be that person, you know, that might be the spirit that's just in them right now, you know?
Right.
'Cause you're so right. I think, you know, like we talked about it earlier, and I think if we ever get away from this at Strapped, I think it will lose the blessing for sure. With our own ego and our own, whatever that is, it's so easy sometimes to be like, hey, I got this thing licked. Like I figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
I got the answers, you know? And next thing you know, you're preaching to guys when really you should be locking arms with them and jumping into shit,
Right.
you know, and realizing like we will learn from each other, but the strength is in the team, not in the individual.
Exactly.
You know, and that's something that I just try to remind myself every single day as we're making decisions of like, how are we going to keep building this thing out? Where are we going? It has to be focused on the community and glorifying God, you know? And I feel like if we can stay rooted in those two things, wherever God is taking it is going to be exactly where it's supposed to be. If that's helping one guy or that's helping a million, who knows? I don't know what that looks like, but it's like the obedience, like just when you feel that at your desk, like I need to go talk to that guy, you know, it's like, we got to answer those calls. We can't we can't keep ignoring that stuff.
Right.
You know, and sometimes it's really easy to do, but you said it perfectly too, Tom. Like you can tell, like if you're checking out at the grocery store or whatever, like you can feel that on people, that heaviness of like, maybe they're just having just a terrible day. Mm-hmm. And if you just, you know, see their name tag or just look them in the eyes and smile and say, how you doing? It's so crazy how that stuff works.
Yeah. And that's a great point, because I make it a point, right? They pay people, right, to greet people when they come in. And the amount of times that people are taken aback when I say, you know, I'm doing well, how are you? They don't ever get that.
Yeah.
They don't ever get that reciprocation. And I think that is so wrong.
Yeah.
You know, you just gotta, and that's what I say about this place too. What it boils down to is we're just trying to make tomorrow better than today.
Yeah.
Like that's what we do here.
That happened at a couple of graduations ago. It's probably 4 or 5 times ago, but one of the graduates said that, like, coming here was the first time that somebody asked me how I was doing, you know? And that, I just remember sitting there in the audience and being like, I can't believe that that's, for some people, that's their experience.
Yeah.
That not one person just says like, how's it going? How's your day going? Mm-hmm. You know? So you get to learn these things. Like if you just shut your mouth and open up your eyes and ears and just observe. You get to learn so much from people. And like I said, that's what's so awesome about what you guys are doing here. And, what we're trying to build with Strapped is it's about the community and the team. Nobody, and this is, I guess, probably an opinion, which those can get dangerous. But I don't think anybody has it figured out.
Right.
I think if we work together and we actually listen and take in what other people say, I think all of us have that know that like if you just have like one good friend that will call you out on your crap, it's amazing how that works. You're like, hey, bop, everything, and he's like, dude, come on, man. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm married to that friend.
Totally. That's my wife too. Wow, what a blessing that is. But that, that's what we need. But you can only do that if you gain that trust.
Right.
If you're in it, if you're in it with people, you can't start holding each other accountable if you don't even know each other.
Right.
It's about the why.
Yeah.
Why are you doing what you're doing? Why'd you ask me that?
Yeah.
Sometimes people are so taken aback. You can almost see their wheels turning like, all right, what's this person's agenda? They just asked me how I'm doing today.
Yeah.
They're trying to sell me something, or they're going to evangelize to me, or what's the deal?
Yeah.
And it's a shame that it has to be that way. You know, it's a fallen world. That it is what it is. But why is so important. And so, how does it look in the details of Strapped? How does it manifest?
Yeah. So where we're going to start is with small teams, groups of 10 guys max. It could be less than that, but 10 guys who will have a monthly cadence of meeting. And then, between the times that they're meeting, they'll also have some touch points with what it's going to be me to start, but a facilitator of the group. Just making sure that, there's somebody there that's listening and taking down what everybody's saying, so that then, myself or whoever that winds up being in the future can then, kind of stay with each guy throughout their journey. And then they'll have that interaction once a month with everybody where they get to talk about personal, professional, their faith. The big thing for us that's Strapped is, we like to, I think, at least in my experiences, we really like to silo off our life. Like, I'm going to work on my health, and then I'm going to work on my relationship. I'm going to try to figure out my career and get my money in order. Or really, I believe in kind of my journey, what I've seen is if we integrate our faith into everything, and we know that all of those things work in unison with each other, that's where we get to really have that, like, that greatness, like, that we're supposed to have, It's that integration of, like, I'm going to allow Jesus to lead me in all of these things, because I know how bad it goes when, it's like with my career after hockey, even when I met the Lord and I started living for Jesus, it was like, I'm going to kind of keep this work thing over here. God, thanks for all the help and all this other stuff, but don't worry about it. This is mine. And stuff just kept going bad, and it wasn't good. And it's like that surrender of just like, I have to give you everything, and you're going to bless it, and you're going to guide it to what it's supposed to be. So we've put together a little process that, we in Strapped, it's called Life by Design. It's the foundation of faith through those pillars of health, relationship, and wealth, which is your career and managing your money and building all your, through your family and stuff like that. And then what's really cool is I was sitting just one day and I looked up the word strapped, and it came up with 4 definitions. And the first one was like, I'm strapped for cash or strapped for resource. So a lacking type definition. The second one was weaponized, like like I'm legit strapped, like I got a gun on me.
Right.
Third was equipped and prepared, and fourth was rooted and secured. And when I started thinking through that, I'm like, we've all been through that process where we've been lacking. We have to weaponize ourselves with something, some type of knowledge, and art. In Strapp's case, I think that's where the sword of the Spirit, the Word of God, that is our offensive weapon. And we can find all of our answers in there. If we do the work and prepare daily through those pillars, then we will someday be rooted and secured. Mm-hmm. So that's the strap process, is like identify where we're lacking, equip or weaponize ourselves with the Word of God and with the community and with the resources and tools, do the work, to get to that place where we feel rooted and secured in what we're doing. And I think what's beautiful about that is the second we get to the secured part, then that's where God shows us that next piece of information where we're lacking.
Right. Yep.
Yep.
Do it all over again.
Back up, and we keep that loop going, and we just keep refining into being the men that, I think he's put us here to be. So,
and so who's it for?
So, the current, my hope with the athlete world, obviously for me, that's kind of just cause that is my network and what I know the most about. So the current and former retired athlete, and then in that same space with the retired athlete would be the guys that are transitioning out of the military as well. So those would be our two big demographics. I think there'll be some space in there too for just guys that are running companies or just working too, as long as they have that. They don't maybe necessarily have to be like really far along in their faith. But that does have to be something that they're at a minimum open to.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, but big focus on that transition on, anybody that's kind of had that at one time, or maybe is in that drifting stage of like, I used to be this and now I'm kind of not really sure,
Right.
So yeah, it's just, getting them back into community, getting them back on team, with guys that are, willing to, explore that foundation of faith and then build that life by design through those pillars. Sure. So
if people are interested in learning more, how would they do that?
So the easiest way right now is if you go to strapped.shop, that's our apparel site, but on there you can get to our community pages. Okay. We have a 40 question assessment that we built that will just give you kind of a baseline of where you currently are through those pillars that we talked about. And then there'll be more to come on the community side. So we have a circle community page right now, strap.circle.so. Trying to change that to get that a little cleaner, shorter. But that's where we'll have all these other things that we'll have our groups on there. We'll offer some one-on-one coaching type stuff. And we'll just kind of keep expanding the services based off of what guys are telling us they need.
Very cool.
So we're just letting God take it wherever he feels like taking it, and not really having a huge, this is what we're doing. So,
right. Well, if you want a small glimpse into the future, right? That's how Tom's always done ETS, right? What are the veterans telling us they need, and staying in his current, and this is where we're at now. So,
yeah. Again, I know we've talked about it a lot today, and it might be getting repetitive, but if we just are in community with each other, I think the answers become much, much clearer than sitting with a notepad somewhere by yourself and like, I think I got the answer. Right. You're going to bring that answer into the world, and somebody's going to go like, your answer sucks. Wrong answer.
Give you a wedgie and run you up a flagpole.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited. It's just, like I said, we're just getting going and getting started, but
cool.
Excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, very. That's cool. Really cool.
So yeah.
All right. Well, Eric, you got anything?
No, I'm good. I think so. Yeah. I was hoping they had apparel because that hat he's wearing is pretty sick. I'm a hat guy. Tom's a hat guy. James is a hat guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do.
I have one in the closet.
I'm going to steal it. I'll buy you a replacement, but I'm going to steal it.
and you're one like.
I can run away real quick.
Yeah. I'll bring some in on Friday when I'm back for
Yeah, so it's great having you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I think you're definitely on the right track, for what I know, which is not all that much. But what I've learned over the years is it's about people, and it's without labels.
Yeah.
And it's about community, and that provides purpose and meaning. And if you can get there, you can get to your greatness, and really, this world needs it.
Yeah.
And culture's on fire. So, the better we can be as people, the better off everyone is. So,
yeah, for sure.
Really sounds corny, but
it's funny how cliches always find their way back, right? Like it's,
it's funny too, is all those cliches you can find the root in the Bible somewhere.
Yeah. Right.
There's some verse that backs up every one of these worldly sayings that we come up with. So they have meaning,
Yeah,
they do.
yeah,
They're deep.
absolutely.
But,
All right.
Well,
So Jake talked about Strapped a little bit, but as far as supporting ETS, check us out, everythirdsaturday.org. You can give us a call, 952-356-5116. And thank you, Kayla, for this beautiful Post-it note. You can also text HOPE, HOPE, to 952-234-7234. And with that, I think that's a wrap.
that's all we got.